Scott just made the point.
Jefferson used to be a lot more secure, not just.
Google, yes, Google, the search people, launched a multi-year project to develop renewable energy power generation cheaper than coal. Two engineers who headed Google's now defunct RE less than C, I see what you did there, project now say that renewable energy will not end climate change. In fact, they say the problem will actually get worse even if every environmentalist energy technology dream comes true. I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle, and men Ross Koningstein and David Fork, writing in the Journal of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, say even if every renewable energy technology advanced as quickly as imagined, and they were all applied globally, atmospheric CO2 levels wouldn't just remain above 350 parts per million, they would continue to rise exponentially due to continued fossil fuel use. You see, carbon stays in the atmosphere for, about a century. And of course, even if we went all out with renewables, we'd have to keep using coal, oil, and natural gas for at least 3 reasons. Renewable sources are, number 1, too expensive. Number 2, they don't work all the time. The sun goes down and the wind subsides. And they're difficult to locate near where they're needed. But other than location, generation, distribution, and economics, renewable energy is great. Ultimately, the Google engineers decided that the answer to the problem requires more than science. It requires magic. Incremental improvements to existing technologies aren't enough. We need something truly disruptive to reverse climate change. What then is the energy technology that can meet the challenging cost targets? How will we remove CO2 from the air? We don't have the answers. Those technologies haven't been invented yet. Well, Stephen Green, if it's physically impossible to reverse carbon accumulation in the atmosphere with known renewable energy sources, what's a sensible approach for the federal government to take to address the climate change threat?
I don't know. And you know, those words are so liberating. And to hear them from the big brains at Google, smart people for once admitting, I don't know. Saying, we don't have an answer for you. Maybe we'll get back to you later, maybe not, but right now, I don't know. That's such a liberating thing, because when you say you don't know, then you have the intellectual freedom to go out and try and really pursue some real answers. Now, I don't know how technically feasible this is, but if there's a role for government other than getting out of the way of energy production, it would be to invest in an actual national grid that anybody, anywhere could feed into, whether they do it through coal, or whether they do it through natural gas or nuclear or wind or whatever. Everybody can feed into it. Everybody, and that way you have a national grid, and you eliminate that last mile of which eliminates competition in electricity distribution. Instead of these local monopolies, you've got a national grid, real competition. That will drive down prices enough to explode the economy enough that we will have the money enough to invest in a real solution.
Stephen Green taking his place alongside of Al Gore in the pantheon of environmental gods with his Internet of Juice. I like the idea.
I'm going to have to put on more weight.
You're known generally for your rhetorical nuance and sensitivity. And so how would you break this news to folks from, the Hollywood Hills to Capitol Hill who have staked their reputations on the promise that renewable energy will save us from mass death by fire or water due to man-made climate change? How would you gently tell them that it's impossible?
Me fail ecology? That's impossible. You know, I think I would probably bring a message of goodwill and hope to those limousine liberals up in the Hollywood Hills, and I'd say, I think, frankly, we found the answer to prevent this catastrophic climate change that we've talked about for so many years now, and we found that we can basically not only retard climate change, but essentially eliminate it by making minor adjustments to the CO2 variable, which we use in our computer models to forecast all this stuff, because carbon dioxide, as we well know, is less than 1% of the total atmosphere in terms of composition by volume, and the human part of CO2 is considerably less than that, considerably less. So all of these forecasts are based on a computer module. Just simply adjust the computer model, and everything else goes away. Pretty simple, really. I would say that's probably the optimal solution. Now, I'm going to disagree with Comrade Green over there and his basically, you scratch Steve Green, and underneath you always find a communist. I'm not going to go with a big, giant national grid, Scotty. I want a little thorium reactor that powers my house, something that produces, I don't know, 400 kilowatts ought to hold me, I reckon, something like that. And just basically have a little thorium reactor that it can't melt down, it can't do any, it's a little self-contained thing buried in the backyard. It produces 25 megawatts of power for the rest of my life, let's say. And if I decide to sell some to you city dwellers, I may or may not, but basically, I'm not joking about this now. I do actually think the answer is to get off the grid. Make your own power, find out whatever means you can, either in your neighborhood or your little community, and just be self-sufficient. I really like that approach a lot better, frankly, comrade.
I was just reading a story yesterday where a lot of the guys who are trapped in this war over with the Islamic State are actually refining their own oil. They're making their own gasoline, like people are doing it from their homes. So I don't think that's such a crazy idea, Mr. Whittle. It's already happening in the Middle East.
Thank you very much.
You know, to believe that government mandates can reverse the effects of climate change, you don't have to be an environmentalist or a government expert or even an engineer. You could also be a 3-year-old. Playing make-believe. You know, look, we all want clean air and the cheaper stuff that comes with cheaper energy. Oddly enough, the Google engineers ignored the most obvious answer, a nearly inexhaustible energy source which for 45 years has an unmatched safety record. It doesn't belch smoke like coal, it won't puree bald eagles in midair like windmills, or inundate Chinese villages like hydro, nor will it flash fry a bird on the wing every 2 minutes like these high-power solar farms. Best of all, President Obama is actually a supporter of nuclear power, although he is still addicted to energy from expensive, low-output, eagle chopping and frying sources. Back in early 2010, Obama authorized federal loan guarantees to kickstart nuclear power construction, nuclear plant construction. But heavy regulation actually makes it nearly impossible for nuclear power to compete with clean, cheap American natural gas. Republicans should seize the opportunity to pass a bill lifting the regulatory burden on nuclear power generation. In a divided Washington, it would be ironically energizing to see people come together because of fission. Now that's some climate change we can believe in. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at pjtv.com, I'm Scott Ott.